Well, hello everybody, and welcome to That Dog Training Show with Tanya Yarbrough, where we talk about the dogs we love and the stupid human behaviors we don't, also known as shubs. So, this is, I don't know, number 59 or something like that. It's past my age, so I feel much better about being fudging the numbers. And I'm way past my age now. I feel very accomplished in terms of the number of episodes. So, this topic today, this week, is actually called Staying Afloat. Since it's summertime and we prefer to do things outside usually, and that's why we have dogs, is to sort of join us on those adventures, I thought I'd talk about the way to approach getting life jackets and things like that for your dog. What you should kind of prepare for in terms of equipment and as well as training to make sure that your dog is safe and happy with going out on these adventures. It kind of reminded me of, I've taken my previous dog, Cassie, to the beach. She was a Sheltie, not into water too much, so it was an interesting experience for her to learn to do that. And that was one of the things we did on her bucket list when she was really, really sick, and we knew she wasn't going to, live that much longer. And I still have yet to take Rambo and Yonkers to the I just saw a picture of Rambo when I said that. So ironic. I still have to take Rambo and Yonkers to the beach, and so I still have to fit them properly for life jackets because they're little dogs, and this is something that whether you have a little dog or a big dog and you plan to go near the water, it's something that you should seriously consider. So anyway, if you are interested, which I hope you are, you can go to my Facebook page, That Dog Training Show with Tanya Yarbrough, and like it. And I'm going to be referring to an article that I posted up there from boatus.com, and it's an article from like 2012, June 2012. So we're going to be talking about that article today, but you can read it for yourself and get some, more details from them. You can also follow me on Twitter at Kazzy Dog Train. That's KAZZIDOGTRAIN, or on Instagram at That Dog Training Show. And yes, I do share personal stuff. You'll find out that I have celiacs and I talk about food and drinking a lot. So if you're interested in that as well as dogs, it might be just fascinating because I put up my recipes and stuff because I'm desperate for real food. Anyway, so back to going to staying afloat with your dog. In terms of getting a life jacket for your dog, and when I talk about working with water, I'm talking about also possibly the pool, especially if your dog's not a swimmer. And there are a lot of dogs out there who just aren't really into swimming or into water. Or in terms of like my dog Cassie, who was a Sheltie, she was 32 pounds. And she had spindly little legs, and she sort of had a boat hole-shaped chest, but when she had that coat and that undercoat filled with water, she was closer to 50 pounds. It almost doubled her weight because it would soak up so much water and hold it, so she would sink. There was no way she could really swim, even in a pool or something, with no current, because of the amount of fur that was holding all the water in. So I had to put a life vest on her to even, play in the pool with her. So, and anyway, when it comes to bodies of water, no matter where you are, I highly recommend that you have some sort of life vest for your dog, just like you would for your kids or your family or whatever. The first thing you need to consider when you're looking for a life vest for your dog is to consider, first of all, their weight, their dry weight, but also their wet weight. Like I just explained with Cassie, she almost doubled in weight just when she got wet, so it was not a fair fight when it came to like trying to swim in the water. The shape of their body, are they really long-bodied? Are they kind of an average body? Are they very thick? Like they got a rotund chest? Are they overweight? And then also the thickness of the fur. Are they short hair? Do they have long hair? Do they have like the double coat like Cassie, or like a husky or something of that sort? All those things are a consideration you have to consider in terms of choosing a life jacket. And life jackets are really usually not that expensive, actually. You can get them from like anywhere from $12 to like less than $50 for big dogs. So and you have a lot of options. My recommendation, and so did BoatUs.com, recommend that you make sure you try on your dog's, not for you, don't put on your dog's life jacket, but try on the life jacket on your dog before you go out on an adventure to make sure it fits properly, preferably in a store somewhere. But I know a lot of people, they shop online because it's a lot cheaper or what have you, but make sure that it fits properly. So I'm going to talk about that fit. The first thing is, consider the fit across the top of the body when you put the jacket on. Can your dog move their head freely? Is it like, the padding butting up right up against their back of their head so they can't even lift their head up? And the reason why I want you to consider this is because when a dog is in the water and they're paddling around, they lift their chin up and they lean their neck back quite a bit. Unless they're water dogs and they don't care if they soak up a bunch of water in their snout. That's when retrievers, Labradors, Newfoundlands, they tend to just swim with their head forward. But most dogs who are not used to the water, are not real swimmers, they tend to lift their head up and hold it back to keep the water out of their snout. And you need to make sure that they don't feel like they're getting their head pushed into the water by the fact that the padding, when it's on, is pushing it's too long for their body. And also consider, if it's not snug enough around their body, does the water cause that padding to get pushed into the back of their head and therefore make them feel like they're getting their head pushed into the water? So those things have to be considered. So the length of the jacket has to be appropriate, with a little bit of free space for the dog to move their head freely backwards and forwards and sideways, so that they don't feel that they're being hindered, especially if a dog is kind of panicking or uncomfortable in the water. This is going to make it worse. So consider that. Also consider the fit of the straps. Is it rubbing against the sensitive areas when you strap this on? Is it right in the armpit where there's no hair? Is the buckle kind of tight up against it? Or is there a little bit of free space for them to move their legs without rubbing onto the buckles that's part of the jacket? Is it comfortable for them to move about? And one of the things you want to check too is if the dogs, and this is referencing also the length of the padding on the top of the jacket, you also want to make sure that they can sit and lie down comfortably on dry land and feel okay with that they're not. Some dogs freak out when you put any clothing on them, but once they're past that point, is it comfortable, or are they kind of straining against the actual jacket? If they're straining against the jacket, it's not fitting properly for them. So, with that, are the straps kind of rubbing up against the body where it's not allowing free movement of the legs or causing any pinching or that sort of thing? Are there multiple straps? There's some life jackets that just have a single strap on them. I am not comfortable with those. Ladies, if you've ever worn a bikini or something, or a one-piece swimsuit that has to be attached, that with currents and diving in water and things like that, that one strap might just lose everything, and that's not good. So I prefer to pick out personally all the life jackets that have at least two straps on them so that they fit properly on the dog. Now, when they're a bigger dog, they definitely have to have two straps, but I don't know, I feel really uncomfortable with just one underbelly strap with even a small dog. So consider that possibility. I mean, you choose what you want to do, but I think the more straps, the better in terms of buckling it onto your dog. Let's talk about buckles. Buckles versus Velcro. I've seen some that have some Velcro fasteners on there as a backup, and I'm not comfortable with those either, because the Velcro tends to get, especially if your dog's hair is a little long, or if you have any pets at home with a little long hair, the Velcro tends to get full of hair, and then it's not really stable, especially with currents and diving and things like that, and it's really easy for it to slide off. So my personal preference in picking out a life jacket for a dog is that it has at least two buckled straps and maybe a Velcro strap as an additional thing, or for extra things on the side, like little extra pouches that are removable, etc. But I'm not comfortable with relying on Velcro for actually keeping my dog in the jacket. Completely useless to buy a life jacket for a dog that once they get in the water, it slides right off of them. So The other thing is to think about the thickness and the quality of flotation material. You know, with Yonkers and Rambo's like 13 pounds at his fat weight. Yonkers is less than 7 pounds. So the quality of the flotation material does not have to be really intense because they're not holding up that much weight. So I don't have to worry about, having a 130-pound Newfoundland that I have to make sure floats in the water with, some support with those things. So, the bigger the dog, you got to really consider having a denser, higher quality flotation device. And in that case, if you do have a big water dog that you're taking with you, you should looking into sporting goods places like REI or, what are some other ones? What's the bean? Oh, dang it, I forgot the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, Patagonia. You might consider really opening your options for looking for high quality flotation options, especially if you're going out with there's choppy lakes or the ocean. For a heavy dog, I wouldn't take a chance, especially if they're very furry. They might sink a little bit. They're super heavy when they get wet, and if they're not big swimmers, especially, they're not really into holding themselves up. And let me just caution you on being a little too confident about your dog being a swimming dog that loves the water. Even dogs who love the water can get tired very easily in ocean currents and choppy waters on lakes, if they're jumping off the boat. So having that life jacket is important just in case they get a little overtired and all of a sudden they're starting to sink or struggle. And I don't think it's very helpful for, even if you're a good swimmer, to be able to pick up a full 130-pound dog that's fully wet, that's getting overtired and starting to panic. I don't think you want to have that problem. So yeah, those of you who have, oh, my dog's a water dog and da-da-da-da, well, if you're going to go out for fun for several hours, on a boat or on the beach or something like that, I would seriously still have a flotation device or jacket on your dog. Okay, so thickness and quality of flotation material should be taken into seriously based on the weight and the wet weight of your dog. And also, another thing to consider is the coverage of the body in terms of temperature control. Cassie was very heavy when she got wet, but she also overheated very easily when we were on land or in the sun with the jacket on. So I had to get something that was going to hold her up, but also had a mesh bottom that would allow her to breathe freely around her stomach to make sure she didn't overheat very easily. Because we would oftentimes walk along the beach in the sun before we would step into the water. So be very, very cautious about that, because I don't want your dog overheating with the vest, and I also don't want now that I have these little short-haired dogs, I have to consider them having a little more coverage than an average dog, because they will get cold very easily, and hypothermia could kick in pretty quickly. So I have to, now with my current dogs, be very careful and possibly even have an undershirt for them so that they, a lightweight, tight-fitting thing so they can actually maintain their body temperature a lot easier. Also, really take a look at the handles, the rings, and the tethers. Consider a tether. So I'll go one step at a time. A lot of flotation jackets for dogs have handles on them, but some of them are not very well made. So again, consider the wet weight of your dog, and if you had to desperately pull your dog into a boat or onto shore because they got tired or they got injured, make sure that you have stitching that's able to hold up to that with currents and undertows, etc. Because nothing worse than grabbing your dog and trying to rescue them if they got injured, and then all of a sudden they get torn off of the handle, and all you've got is the handle holding onto that. So I would really pay attention to the stitching and the quality of that particular feature. Rings are also nice, so then you can hold on to have a leash on it or a tether. When I talk about a tether, I mean a long line. Even if you have your dog on a boat or you're going out on the beach, they make some really nice waterproof tethers that are brightly colored, like you would choose for your flotation jacket for your dog. That if you, and that's what I also want to pick up for Rambo and for Yonkers, it would not take much for them to get sucked in an